Welcome to Dude Get In. Still getting used to that name. I'm Paralerx, joined by Pig Video Games.
Hello.
Hello, Pig. Today we're talking about a weird one. So last month
Yeah.
I recommended to you Serial Experiments Lain. To start us off, Pig, what do you have any just general feelings about Lane you want to get out there before we start actually describing things?
I had mentioned this during our watch through,
Hmm.
but it became a lot. All the threads started coming together as the series progressed, and I was getting it more and more.
Right. It's definitely one that has a lot of early setup of concepts and weird shit. But if you pay attention, like it's avant-garde in like kind of the weird David Lynch kind of way, a bit surreal. But it's not so weird that it you can't follow at least the basic overall plot as the series progresses. You just have a few, your first time through it, you'll probably just have a few questions about side things or a couple things you might have forgot about by the very end. Like, oh, what was this about? I don't
It,
know. Didn't
it
seem to
it's a
go anywhere.
it's a very like loose plot that like tightens up, like start like once you get to like episode like I think like 7 or something, the plot starts like tightening up, and you're like, oh okay, I know what's happening now.
Yeah, it starts off kind of basic and setting up intrigue, then getting really weird, and then giving you some answers and like narrowing things down by the end.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So, for anyone listening who hasn't watched Serial Experiments Lane before, uh, one, go do that. It'll take you like 4 or 5 hours total. It's a 13 episode series.
Yeah.
It's really good. It's worth it. But I will give a brief description of the basic plot as the episodes go, but that'll honestly just be like a quick and loose thing because getting into the actual events, you have to break down a lot of things piece by piece. We start off with a I believe 8th grade schoolgirl named Lain Iwakura. She's a bit awkward, not the most computer savvy, but she gets by. She goes to school, starts noticing weird stuff, hears that a girl has committed suicide, but
Her
is somehow sending email.
her suicide is like the opening scene.
It is. It's a really strong opening, honestly. It immediately draws your intrigue, leaving it just vague enough to have you asking questions about why, just why the character would do it, why we would open on this, how important is this going to be. But I mean, it's just striking because it's not like a quiet, in the garage with some rope or taking too many pills. It is out in the middle of the city jumping off a roof.
Oh yeah.
So it's very striking visually. It has an effect on other characters. It's pretty strong. And it's our kickoff event for all the events concerning Lane directly. She hears about this, and her classmates tell her that the dead girl is sending emails. But she doesn't mess with computers, so she was the last one to notice. After checking the emails, oh yeah, I got one from our dead classmate Chisa. What did she say? And it's along the lines of, I don't need a body anymore. I found God in the Wired, and I'm still here living. This email might not convince you, but that's the situation. And that's all the information you get from the dead girl.
The Wired is what replaces the internet in this setting.
Yeah, it seems to be just an amalgamation of all electronic networking, so I feel like phone lines, the internet, and everything in between is at least somewhat connected to the wired inherently, which is kind of how the internet turned out by modern day. So it's
It's
also, this was produced in 1998. I think it's really important because this was supposed to be a kind of weird dystopian what if for the future of technology because like the 90s had a few noteworthy like anime things come out, probably most famously Ghost in the Shell, that were giving a bunch of what ifs for how technology was growing because at the time there was all this weird, oh, technology's growing so fast, what could this mean for society, what problems could it give rise to? What questions are we gonna have to ask ourselves? Lain might be the one that nails it the hardest.
This aired like alongside the Y2K stuff.
Yeah, and I forget if it I forget if it was reruns or if it was just had a delayed airing in America, but shout outs to that episode of Lain that aired on 9/11 with the warning going across the intro of the show.
Oh really?
Hey, we've posted that in the server a lot. It's yeah, there's the episode of Lain that has the song playing while the text on the top is giving you the warning about oh shit, terrorism attack just happened.
Oh, God,
You,
that aired in like 2001 or
yeah,
2001, 2002.
yeah, no, 2001 on the day, 9/11.
Oh, okay, it aired on 9/11.
Yes. So at the
Oh,
top of the screen, you see the text going by saying, "Hey, a national emergency is happening right now."
oh my God.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
that's
you should
that's the worst.
so bad. You should look that up after we record and edit in a brief clip of that so people see what I'm talking about. Considering how hard it nailed the weird social issues um that the rise of interconnectedness through a network would present, like it feels uncanny to watch it knowing when it was made and how things are now. As Lain bugs her dad to get her a new Navi, which is what they call any network capable device, really. So there's a
Like,
desktop computer, which is exactly the same as what you would think of, but also they have handheld devices you can take to school with you that they call like pocket navies or something.
yeah, like, and they got some real like interesting like designs for like these pocket navies. Like there's this one kid who has a pocket navy that's like has like a gun handle and gun trigger.
Yeah, it's pretty
He
sick.
he pulls the trigger and the screen flips out.
It's really cool.
It's
I
really
wish
like
smartphones were designed like that,
yeah,
man.
it's there's some really like interesting like technology like aesthetic wise. Like phones have like this flip out screen that's like a that functions like a drawing pad. Where it's just like a black screen where you poke with a pen and it manipulates the like the cursor and the screen. I just
Yeah, like the designers skipped the whole era of us building physical keyboards into phones and then replicating them on touchscreens. They just decided, well, since this device is so tiny, you can't fit a full keyboard, we'll give them a stylus, and that's how you'll interact with your UI and stuff.
yeah, you use that to interact with the UI. Just oh my god, the UI is just so visually interesting.
It's really cool.
Just the way the
There's
text
a
just
lot of
comes in, just like messaging your friends. The way text pops in. Like
yeah, how it
damn,
sometimes like sometimes it'll fly in one letter at a time from like the side, curving onto the paper or the screen, whatever.
like damn. I wish tech looked like this, especially in the
They did
'90s.
a lot of research into how technology works and what user interfaces should look like because they honestly did a better job than some real tech companies on their UI.
Like, well, what they should look like, what they could look like in the future.
Yeah.
And this does like take place like in like the late '90s. Like the computer she gets, or the Navi, like it just looks like a '90s computer.
Yeah,
Like
because like computers themselves don't actually change their looks a ton. Like honestly, other than just the fact that the case isn't stylized in any way, is like that's the only thing with the tower that looks, at all different to how something would look today. Because a tower is just a tower. The fact that it's not a flat screen. If it was a flat screen monitor that she initially has, you wouldn't know that this wasn't in the 2010s, 2020s.
mhm.
It's man, they did a very good job designing all the little aspects of this show. So Lane bugs her dad to get her a new device. He's like, "Yeah," because he's a computer geek. Let's go. And she, before you realize what's going on, she seems to just be that one kid who just has a autistic hyperfixation, and it just has a knack for their one specific interest. and just goes off.
Yeah,
She become
it just so
oh
happened to
man.
be the computers. Like, oh, okay, that's her new thing now.
Yeah, and at first you're like, okay, she just, she's a child savant character who absorbs info on this stuff like a sponge. Okay, so she just learns really fast. Now there's weird lore reasons for why she's like that, but that's all it appears at first. She gets in, she's spending a lot of time online, but at the same time, she's growing closer to her little friend group because of her one real friend that she has at school, Alice, but it's in Japanese, so it's Erisu.
Mm-hmm.
They take her out to a nightclub because they want her to actually be social with them. Uh, the club's called Siberia, and it's a um, regular spot for the show to wander into. And the interesting thing is, one, there's people there who swear they've seen Lain hanging out there before, but not quite acting like herself.
That's
Two,
weird. What's going
the
on there?
yeah, two, the one night she goes, a guy shoots up the place, sees Lain, freaks out, and points the barrel in his own mouth. And that's her night.
I
It,
went out to a club and the guy shot himself.
yeah.
But Lain does something weird here. She what like she kind of like enters this trance and walks up to the guy and just goes. And with the wired, everyone is connected. I'm paraphrasing, but she basically just says that.
No matter where you go, everyone's connected.
Yeah,
That's what
yeah.
it was.
And
Uh,
it's that like bit of that it's that really just sends the guy to just okay, yeah, I'm gonna shoot myself now.
yeah, the fact that her personality just clicks, where she goes from a very meek, timid, shy person who is unaware in most situations to dead ass staring down the man with a gun barrel pointed to her head, uh, while he's screaming nonsense at her about the Wired and how he wants no part of it, whatever's going on. And she just says, "You can't escape things. Everyone's connected." And he's like, "Well, I'm out." Those are really the big crazy things from early on. We just see how weird her life gets, how obsessive she gets over the network and her PC, which her PC build starts to expand to multiple towers, to extra machines that it's not clear at a glance what they're all doing for her, multiple monitors. Eventually, her room is like 15% walking space, 10% a bed, and the rest is all PC by the end of the series.
It's hard to describe how crazy this gets without like putting visuals on the screen, which I'm going to do.
Yeah, it gets to the point where she runs out of room for cable management in there and somehow just breaks a hole in the wall
And
to just have wires hanging out of.
yeah, just outside the wall, like they're exposed like to the elements of the outside.
She has like, massive tubes of
Like
coolant and pressure tanks for it. It's
yeah,
nuts. It is a sci-fi lab in that bedroom.
like what the hell are the pressure tanks gonna do?
Well, she has an entire bedroom of PC she has to cool. And also, she did not get all the liquid in the tubes cleanly because the floor of her room is constantly wet.
Yeah, like there's a constant puddle in her room.
Uh, but we are skipping ahead a bit. As she becomes more obsessive, she's still socializing for a good few episodes after the nightclub, but starts to regress and be, all insular and isolating again over time, as she becomes more of a presence on the Wired and on her PC. This whole time, she's being served under surveillance by these like Men in Black looking agents. She's being given hints of an organization known as the Knights of the Eastern Calculus. She's occasionally hearing a voice that claims to be God whenever she interacts with the Wired, telling her little things about what she is and, hey, maybe you don't even need a body, kid. The reality of this whole story is that it is about a disgruntled tech employee trying to convince an 8-year-old who doesn't really exist to kill herself. That's the actual plot of this show.
I think she's like 13, but yeah.
But the fact that after, like, we described the first 3 episodes, we just have to generalize, kind of tells you how weird and vague this gets. Because going into detail on any particular plot point from the midway forward, you have to describe a lot of moving parts.
Yeah,
So,
Yeah, before the halfway point where like the plot really starts to focus in, we get a lot of information coming from different places. She's going on the web and just absorbing everything. She's basically wiki diving,
Yeah.
and like
So
it is visually represented as if you're like on like VR chat, and you're going into the Wikipedia room to like read a bunch of stuff.
yeah, it's sites are they're still represented on a screen, but you can connect your psyche directly to machines if you have certain computer chips that are rumored to be made by the Knights of the Eastern Calculus. And how much the average person is or isn't able to manifest a 3D avatar in the 3D space representing the sites kind of tells you their, I don't know, techie power level, because only specific characters can actually fully immerse themselves looking like a person in the wired.
And
Oftentimes, you'll see voices and people interacting that are a torso but no head, or they're just a floating pair of lips or something.
Lain is notably one of the characters that can like fully manifest within the Wired.
Yeah, it is. Of the ones that we see do it, it is her, the AI ghost of Aerie, aka Deus, aka God of the Wired, Taro the little boy, and the child killer scientist. Professor Hodgson, I think his name was.
Yeah, something like that.
And yes, there's a child killer scientist in this. There's a lot going on. So
Him being a
before we deep
child
dive,
killer is mostly just backdrop.
it is backdrop, and it feels almost written just to as a hook for you to be like, holy shit, I gotta see what she says to the child killer scientist to really get into the nitty gritty of what's going on, because you've already heard us describe several very important plot points without the proper context. To give you proper context, we have to go into the differences between the real world and the setting of Lain. We don't have a specific year for Lain, but you could assume somewhere in the 2000s if it was more technologically advanced. The key difference isn't just in how the Wired is presented compared to the internet. The key difference is the human subconscious and human memories and perception actually dictate reality in the world around you. Human beings just have this ability collectively, naturally. And it's so strong in children that children have a measurable psychic power. Some of them can bend spoons or move objects a bit. It's a measured scientific phenomenon in the world, although scientists generally, most of them, aren't aware of the whole memories shaping reality aspect of it. They mostly focus on this psychic force that they call psi, present in children. This is where we get into the child killer scientist. He created an experiment called KIDS. The point of KIDS was to see if you could harness the power from a human child, this psi power. If we could siphon it off with an external device, we could get a bunch of kids, all have them on a device, going to a single point, and we could harness a mass of collective psychic energy and just see how much we can collect and what we can do with that. Unfortunately, when he tried to put this into practice, it wound up killing all the kids. It was a horrible thing. He was put away, and before he was locked up forever, he destroyed the machine and attempted to destroy all of the schematics and information about it so that this mistake couldn't be replicated.
It is so it is somewhat similar to what happens in the Stalker series. Just to give a frame of reference for people who are familiar with that.
It was based on a real like experiment thing in that happened historically. Many things in this are very loosely based on real things that happened or real groups. Like the Knights of the Eastern Calculus are a play on the Knights of the Lambda Calculus, which is a kind of fake hacker group thing. It's an MIT thing. You can look it up. Yeah, many references to real computer and science history in this.
There's an episode where like it starts to just describe like just like actual like historical events, like stuff that like the CIA was doing, like all these other groups. I'm like, Oh,
Yeah, the
and,
Roswell stuff.
yeah, and my mind is going like, where is this going?
Yeah. Uh, yeah,
It,
the Roswell alien thing pops up. I'll even get into that because that's actually like I believe that's put in the series just as like the primary like look at this example as to how this psychic force of humanity's collective subconscious works.
this is all essential stuff to the plot, by the way, to the setting. Like this is they aren't just throwing this stuff for nothing. This is all
Yeah,
important.
some of it feels like they're throwing it out there just to look at this weird shit. But no, it does have a point. The alien stuff pops up because it seems unconnected to everything else, but it puts this idea in your head because there is a line of dialogue, I think spoken by Lain, about how with the Roswell stuff, everyone's aware of Roswell and Area 51. That's a known thing to humanity. It's not a secret that something happened there. We're not sure what. Most people theorize it's aliens. It doesn't actually matter if aliens were there or not, because in the Lain setting, rumor just became like an understood fact. And that understood fact is part of humanity's collective memory of what happened. So now aliens are a thing because we believe they are. It's almost like orcs in 40K. So when this Protocol 7 stuff starts to get integrated across the web, and uh, the human subconscious is now connected all together through the wired and affecting real life, you get weird shit going on. Lain just turns around at one point, and her door opens, and there's a little green Area 51 alien in a sweater, and he's just looking at her, and then he goes away. And that's just a scene that happens. Just to be like, look at what's possible here. Look at what these phenomena are. It's not that there's a whole plot line of aliens coming to abduct people, and we've been planning this since the 1950s or whenever Roswell happened. I forget. It's just an extreme ludicrous example of how these concepts can affect the world in Lain. Now that I've hopefully been very pretty clear in establishing this big important aspect of how human perception and memory affects the world in Lain, we can talk about why the Wired is such a big deal in regards to this. Uh, this guy, Eiri, Eiri, I forget his first name. Uh, he was a tech engineer guy at Tachibana Labs, which is a big tech company in the setting. And they're working on this next gen protocol, and he puts in this code that where he can upload his consciousness and be omnipresent in the wired and have all this cool stuff going on. He gets and that integration with the Schumann resonance so that you can wirely, without a device or any wires or anything, connect your brain directly to the wired. He's found out and jumps in front of a train. But his consciousness has already been uploaded, so you're essentially seeing his AI brain copy VTuber throughout the series. You only actually see the character alive once at the very end. This brain scan of Eri names himself God, and I don't know if the Knights of the Eastern Calculus already existed, and he convinced them of his godhood, or if they just a group naturally formed, seeing what he was capable of, and they're just like, okay, that's essentially just God here. We're gonna follow this guy. But the Knights of the Eastern Calculus are a group of elite super hacker mans who all believe in Deus, the god of the wired, and have roughly the same goals as him, which is to blur and eventually just destroy the line between the digital online world of the wired and the real physical world.
They're
Uh,
they're, they're very esoteric terrorists.
yeah, and occasionally they just do things for funsies, it seems, just to mess around or to test their capabilities. Because some of them do just have egos about themselves, which Yeah, that tracks. That
We
tracks with, some big hackers.
Yeah, we actually like see a couple of them like just like we actually just see a couple of them just out in the out and about. And
Yeah, one's a corporate businessman, one's a stay-at-home mom, one's just some schlubby fat guy in his apartment.
one's a I guess a homeless guy. He's wearing like a VR helmet, Navi device,
Oh,
like walking around.
he's not even in the Knights. He's like begging them to let him join because like he found their IRC channel. He's like, "Oh, I found you. I'm so good at this internet stuff, and I'm blurring the line between real world and the wire by wearing this Oculus Rift and carrying this equipment around physically."
It's a
And they
very
just get rid of that guy. They just off him.
oh yeah, they do. It's a very wide scope of people. Like
Yeah,
anyone could be a knights.
anyone could be, and some people are even aware of them and will work with or for them without actually knowing all the details of what they're about. A kid that Lain regularly just interacts with uh, is kind of an errand boy of the Knights because he's a techie, but he's not, in their inner circle because he's like 8. So they want to blur and eventually destroy the line between reality and the wired. They do this through a few methods, but Lain is kind of the key to this plan. She's kind of the last step here. It's not really explicitly explained how, but we have to describe what Lain is now, which is she is originally an entity or program from the Wired.
Yeah, she is
That
not a real little girl.
Eri is not the only omnipresent force in the Wired. There's also Lain. It's not explicitly stated if he created her or if he is simply the one who granted her an ego and body. But this was apparently important.
To me, it read as if like as soon as the Wired was created, Lane was born.
Yeah, part of me wants to say that Lain is kind of a digital representation of the human collective unconscious.
For lack
In
of a
fact,
better term, she is actually God of the Wired.
more or less, she's at least on that kind of level. It's we'll get into that. Actually, real quick, I want to get into that Carl Jung stuff just so I can use these terms and people know what I mean.
Oh God, what?
Anyone not familiar, here's your crash course. Carl Jung had really cool theories about the human mind and psychology and stuff. The ideas I want to present here are just uh, like he's thought of the mind as you have, your ego, which is like your consciousness, essentially. Your conscious, aware brain that you are thinking your thoughts with right now. You have your conscious mind and unconscious mind. So the conscious part of your personality, that's your ego. The unconscious part, that's your shadow. It contains all that stuff in the back of your head that you don't want to consciously engage with, but it's still there. It's still part of you whether you want it to be or not. Part of your journey in life to better yourself is supposed to be to, despite the hardships involved, integrate your shadow into your conscious self, which I believe he called achieving that just the self. If you completely integrate your shadow into your conscious mind, the idea of connecting everyone's brain to the wired, one, you don't. If your full brain is in the wired, it is entirely data, which means you would have access to all of it. You're kind of eliminating the process of integrating the shadow into the ego because the entirety of your mind is there digitally to access. You have control over all of it. And doing it to all of humanity on a global scale at the same time, it's almost like a weird tech version of like the human instrumentality shit from the end of Evangelion. That's how I read the whole plan there, Pig. I don't know if that's making sense to you or if your read was similar at all.
Uh, I haven't watched Evangelion, so I don't have like that from a
Oh, you
reference.
haven't? Oh my god. Okay, that's going on the list of potential things. Actually, Okay, well, don't worry. That won't make sense until you watch
But
Evangelion anyway.
I'll
But
be honest. The junkie and stuff kind of like went in and out of my head while watching
okay,
this.
yeah, because I did bring it up at one point during our watch through, or like maybe after the first couple episodes. Um,
Because
but is the wed?
I don't think Jungian psychology is actually brought up in the series, is it?
Yeah, no, the collective unconscious is brought up,
Okay.
but very specifically a few times. Uh, which the collective unconscious, I should explain. It is like it is something that all human minds are supposed to be connected to subconsciously. You're not aware of it, but it is uh one thing that connects all human minds, and is also a source of information for all human minds. So, you're supposed to collect information from your experiences and how you perceive the world, but you are born with certain information.
Oh,
Uh,
like how we're all like naturally disgusted by stuff like insects, spiders specifically, and like stuff like snakes.
yeah, insects, archetypes, things like that. Like, that information, if information needs to have a source, then Jung suggests the source of that information was the collective unconscious. You just know by virtue of being human from some source that, this lady holding you after you're born is your mom and she will take care of you. You know that these creepy crawly things with too many legs and they look weird, those are things to stay away from. But turning that conscious digitally through a collective digitization of everyone's brains, that's uh that's kind of how I'm reading that. And also it kind of got semi-confirmed for me because I also did I've watched through the series a couple times and I've also done research so I could be better equipped to talk about this. And so I know I'm not the only person who read it in that kind of way because I've seen that type of interpretation out there. I saw a really good video on it actually. I'll link that to you sometime. That was how I interpreted the grand plan going. But the point here, as I describe what Lain is that she's the key to this. She exists, I believe, existed before, just not in the same form, but she existed before Irie did his whole "I'm God" thing, and he simply used his control in that he has in the Wired to give her a body and an ego. Like she made her a person essentially,
Mm-hmm.
and put that person out into the real world. It's not especially described how he accomplished this, but like I can theorize on that. Do you have any ideas on it?
Not so much on her creation, but more like how did this family end up with her? Like where did
So,
anyone sign off on that? What was the process here? Like that being revealed, like she like not actually being their daughter, like oh, that's why the mom's like weird and standoffish. That's why the sister seems to hate her for some reason.
yeah, it's weird because like the mom behaves in almost a reflection of Lane because when Lane is like detached and unemotional in her interactions, like she's an innocent little girl, so you see it as an innocent kind of cute thing. But her mom just behaves in almost the exact same way, but it's not cute because she's like a 30-something-year-old lady. She is only affectionate towards her husband and not her children at all. It's weird. Like the dad though. Dad's a great guy.
Yeah, like he plays the role of a supportive father really well. Like
Yeah, and
if
he goes out of his way to admit after the whole charade is over that he did care for her like a daughter. Like he very explicitly says that to Lane.
like when she asks for a new computer, Dad's like, "Oh hell yeah, you're finally getting into computers. This is great. I'm gonna get you the best
Let's
computer that money
go.
can buy."
He sure does. Um, so like my theory on uh on the her body becoming a thing that exists is so we see that the what's it called? The Knights and Aerie, they have a limited manipulate use of the manipulation of human memories. They can't do it to the degree Lain can, but they can totally do it. Like they can alter perception and memories to an extent. Is how like even when Lane's not doing wired stuff, sometimes there's fake Lanes just doing shit. Uh, the projection of her as a god in the sky, I'm pretty sure that was like the Knights just seeing if they could do it, and they did it. What happens to the sister Maki? That's the Knights.
Okay, God, can we talk about that?
Yeah,
That is the most horrifying thing to happen in this series.
yeah. Let me describe it real quick because there is an episode that's largely about the sister character who is like, I think we open with her like leaving a dude's house after what appears to be some manner of hookup, which she's like 15 or 16 or some shit. Um, yeah, she takes off from a dude's house. She's wandering around town just having a day. At one point, she just sees Lain out in town,
Like in the middle of traffic.
which, yeah, just standing in the middle of the street. And other people seem to also see her. But the thing is, like, later in the episode, when they're at dinner together, she asks Lain, "Hey, did I see you in the street earlier today?" And Lain has no idea what the hell she's talking about. So that was probably not a real Lain. That was a fake Lain. She was one of the people who saw the fake Lain, and she has, the rest of her day more or less doesn't go. She starts seeing some weird shit here and there aside from Lain. Starts seeing these like weird pamphlets and messages around about fulfilling a prophecy, which she doesn't know what the hell that means. She but her day just gets weirder up until dinner.
I think you got some a bit of order wrong. The stuff with the pamphlets, like the prophecy stuff, that happens before dinner.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm still describing the stuff before dinner.
Okay. Just okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I zoomed forward to dinner just that Lain didn't know what she was talking about. Uh, but no, she was like, she had her day, sees Lain, that's fucking weird. Oh well. But then she starts to, people handing out like tissues and pamphlets and stuff that just say fulfill the prophecy and weird shit like that. Her day just gets weirder over time until she gets home for dinner. And then at dinner, we just hard cut to her being the one in traffic. What? When was it? Is this now? Did she get teleported? Is she imagining this?
Did she imagine dinner?
Where's the scene going? Yeah, and she's confused. No, I'm in a restaurant now. Why am I in a restaurant? I guess I'll have these noodles in front. Oh fuck! I spilled everything. Oh, the soup is spelling fulfill the prophecy.
I should go home.
I don't like this. I'm in a bathroom now. I don't know why. Wait, aren't I usually having dinner with my parents right now? What the hell is going on? Oh, more fulfill the prophecy. Thank you.
I should go
And
home.
yeah, and Maki in the new scenario makes her way back to her house, walks in, and sees that she never left. She is seeing herself right there, going back to her own room, and the two Makis just stare at each other, and we see that like the Lain or not Lain, the Maki whose consciousness just got ejected to the city in random locations for the last like 10 minutes just ceases to exist. Lain comes in, and after like Maki goes back to her room, she just turns and can see the ghost of Maki's consciousness fading away because her brain got ejected. Because Protocol 7 is getting integrated. The Schumann resonance, hey, all that psychic stuff is stronger in young people. We can get this teenager's brain. Fuck yeah, we can. And now, her brain's just gone. Like, what is happening in her body is just it seems to be an autopilot program that occasionally, when people aren't really, directly looking at her, just starts beeping, acting like a modem.
Yeah, she puts like her hand like in like a phone like shape. It just goes
Yeah,
beep beep beep.
like she will still like walk around, eat something, go to school, but it's very clearly like there ain't nobody home in there. And when she's not doing that and she's by herself at home, she's just beeping. I think one time she peeks in Layton's room for a second and then just goes back to her thing. She's just not a person anymore
Like
past that point.
just the whole thing of just like seeing your doppelganger, and you disappearing.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird existential and social, like almost horror type of things in this.
Like that's gonna live in my brain rent free for the rest of my life.
Yeah, you know the other one that sticks in my head really strong
What?
is what I would call like a social horror situation. Is like Lane is in class and she's like starting to zone out, thinking about all the insane stuff that's going on. And then she just notices everything is dead silent. She looks up. Teacher staring at her, silent. Everyone in class staring at her, silent. No one will tell her what happened, what's going on. And you're, what did I miss? And it is just the most intense. Like, what? What's wrong with me? Why is everyone looking at me like that? And she leaves the classroom because it just feels so awful. And then everyone in the hallway is also staring, judging. She looks in the open door of another classroom. Everyone's staring. Looks out the window. She's on the third floor or something, looking out the window. Immediately, every head outside turns to stare at her. Like, the Knights are clearly able to mess with people's minds and perception and memory to a limited degree. That's why the fake Lain would show up in the club. Because, like, that's a limited space. Only so many people are perceiving that spot and have memories of that spot. Though it's a much more controlled environment to make a fake Lain and have it do things. Because you only have to manipulate so many memories. I think they started there and expanded their scope, is more or less like what they were doing. So that's why there's like people say Lain was there. There was totally a Lain there. Lain physically left things that real Lain would later pick up. So that totally happened. It's confirmed. Like that kind of ability is what brought Lane's physical body into existence. Is manipulate people to create a perception of this child, Iwakura Lane. Put it in a house with a family. Even if that family is in on like, okay, we're not related, they still think there's a little girl there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of another way for them to, with the show's logic as it explained to us. I can't think of another logical way. Like he just, or I don't know. I mean, he did just kind of like spawn a grotesque body for himself at the end,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
like it clearly was hugely imperfect and like, ugh.
It probably takes time to like make like a normal looking girl.
It's like either it was the Knight's like reality manipulation through perception, or it was whatever the fuck he was able to do at the end, but much more focused.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure which, but I feel it has to be one of those two. Anyway, he gives this entity from the Wired, uh, like consciousness and self awareness and a body to live in, and it's a little girl, and he goes to just live a human life. And for his plan to succeed, for him to fully like merge the Wired and the real world together, he needs her to die. He needs her to kill herself. It's not very well explained why, but this becomes very clearly his goal by the end. Uh, and his methodology is actually pretty fucked
He tries to convince her
because
that she doesn't need a body, and for all intents and purposes, he's right.
yeah, in certain ways he's right, but like it's framed in a way to be like having a physical body doesn't matter in any way in any context, so why would you need one? Which is an argument she's able to refute by the end. Like his methodology is so fucked because that's the opening of the series. He convinced another girl in her class to do it first as an example for her to follow so that her consciousness which got uploaded can email her and tell her, "No, it's awesome. I found meaning and God in here. Oh my, it's so cool. It's not a bad thing at all. You don't need a body, Lain. Then it starts like that clearly doesn't work. Talking to her directly when she gets more into the wire doesn't work. So he starts to he starts to isolate her more. How do we do that? We can
Get
have fake lanes like peek into like what your only friend is doing, what her secrets are, and then spread that shit around school. Make your only friend hate you. Ah, that's pretty fucked. We will wipe your sister's mind to isolate you further. That's pretty fucked. And when you have no one left, I will be the only presence there whispering into your ear that you should just ditch the whole physical reality thing and join me.
And yet Lain is able to not only like just like deny his arguments, but also like fight back.
Oh yeah, like completely. Um, by the time you get to like episode 7 or episode 9, I'm not sure, Lain fully realizes her ability to manipulate memories and thus alter reality. So she uses this to undo the social damage that the other Lain has done for Alice.
Yeah,
Uh,
just erasing people's like memory of like all that stuff that happened. Like all like she spread rumors. Okay, no one knows that anymore.
yeah,
Except Alice. She knows. She's the only person that
yeah,
remembers anything that
like
happened.
yeah. She didn't mess with Alice's brain because like she didn't want to mess with Alice's brain. Alice is her only friend. She doesn't want to manipulate her like that. Which is really wholesome because Alice really is like the person that loves her most, which is nice. Alice is a nice character. She's a nice girl. She's like the peak of like healthy relationship with like balancing a social life and like having these smart devices. She will text in the middle of class to make plans with her friends, but she's not going to spend all her free time on a device. When at the beginning of the series, like, oh, you're not into computers, that's fine, but you should at least check your messages. And, you can leave it at that. She's kind of just an idealized character with her only flaw being she's a bit of a perv about a teacher, and that's it. And that's just because she needed to have a flaw for the script to work.
Mm-hmm. Like
So,
she's crushing on a teacher. Oh okay, Knights, we
right,
will spread a rumor that she's
spread that
sleeping.
rumor.
We will spread a rumor that she's sleeping with a teacher.
Yeah, it's gotta love it. So, but going back to like how things were accomplished real quick. So, I think that initially he had help with like his connections in Tachibana Lab. Like Tachibana Lab man, another character whose real name I forget, but like there's a Tachibana Labs guy who hires the two guys in black suits that were like just keeping Lain under surveillance. I think I think they're the ones who initially took Lain to that family of actors, I guess,
Probably, yeah.
and got them set up. Then kept her under surveillance ever since. And like the guys in black were never told the full extent of what was going on. They were under the impression that that guy they worked for was against the Protocol 7 and Iris plan to merge the real world and the Wired. And then twist at the end, that guy was totally down with all Iris bullshit, and he's like, "This is gonna be cool, you guys. Don't you want to see what happens?" And then it seems like either a version of Lain or a fake Lain created by the Knights goes to kill those guys, the guys in black. I'm assuming it's a Knights version of Lain, but I don't know. There's a point at which Lain says directly to the viewers through the screen, like looking you dead in the eyes, and says uh, that she can exist in so many places because she only exists within the perception of those aware of her. But because of that nature of her existence, she's not sure if there even is a real Lain that she, originates from. And as many themes and mechanics as we've talked about so far, I'm still not sure if we've even painted a clear image of what's happened in Lain. So I can't stress enough. Go watch the show for yourself, please.
Lain is a story about a girl who really wants to exist and have like a self.
and she's not allowed to. Uh,
At the end of the series, she basically just has to accept that she is like an omnipotent god.
well, I don't
And
think she is God per se. Actually, you want to
that
just get into the ending?
yeah, I do. Like I
Okay.
do think she is like a natural born god of the wired.
I think she's about as close as one can get, but she's not capital G God.
She is omnipotent, omnipresent. The only thing like she's
Uh,
missing is like no one worships her.
yeah, so this is a big aspect of because she doesn't just have a direct confrontation with Irie like physically because he does manage to manifest himself a body somehow. The mechanics are a little vague, but he does it, and she uses Psy, I guess, to smash her bedroom full of computer components into his new body to kill him.
It's the
Uh,
perfect arc for that computer. It starts off as like just a regular computer. It grows to like
I love that
way
computer.
too big and is used to defeat the villain. Like
Yeah,
I hope all
but
computers get
she
to
has
do
to win
that.
the moral debate with him first, though, is the important narrative part.
Yeah,
Because he insists that he knows best and he's a god, and all this stuff, he's saying is trustworthy information. But she points out that no, it's my perspective that having a physical body matters, and you can't actually make me be on your side, because Alice here has convinced me that this physical being has worth and purpose. And he starts freaking out, like, oh no! And
it's a last like desperate struggle to get Lane at the end that like really like gets him to like manifest a body.
right. And she also points out that like you want when I don't think you can be a god because you're not even original. Do you think you were the origination of the idea of this like connecting people through technology or being the person who rules over all of this? Do you think you came up with this concept on your own? You didn't. This was given to you from another source. It's either an idea passed on through the iterations of technology over time, or it's from the collective subconscious, or it was gifted from the real God himself. Her phrasing is just that the idea was given to you from elsewhere. So, like, whichever of these interpretations you want to believe is kind of valid because it's vague enough to be left up to you. And at first, I was thinking, collective unconscious thing because that's a big deal in the show. But then, again, I after this confrontation is done, and like Protocol 7 is pretty fully integrated by the end, so she can totally manipulate the memories and perception of basically everyone in the setting. She uses her ability to erase herself from everyone's memories. Because she realizes that all the stuff with Irie and her and everything, all the effect that they have collectively had on the world is negative, and the world would be a better place without all that shit. So she erases everything that Irie did before he died. So he's still alive now. And because all that stuff never happened, he never encouraged this other middle schooler to kill herself. So Chisa, the girl from the first scene of the show, is alive. And we get to see all the important characters alive again. But, as Lain pointed out, she only exists with inside the people who perceive her. There is no external identity to perceive her at this point, but she's still around, just invisible to the world. And she's questioning her own nature. Should she try to take up the mantle of a god? Should she, like, just find a lonely corner to exist in isolation forever? What should she do? The sky opens up, and an image of the father that took care of her during the arc of the show, like, just comes to have a chat with her and help her feel better and point out that Lain loves people. She just loves people and cares about them and wants what's best and just feels like she should take care of people, and that is her new role. So the image of her father, like that's clearly not the guy, but that could just be God. Not confirmed, kind of implied, but it's really vague.
I like
So
to
maybe he
believe.
is?
I like to believe that that is God.
Yeah. So, and if he bestowed the idea of all of this to Mr. Irie disgruntled tech worker man in order for him to have like a less powerful like being that can be compared to him in the wired to help out, then yeah, that would kind of make sense. But you get one scene with this entity, so you never know, which is kind of awesome.
Like
It's so vague and open ended.
just the idea of like being this omnipotent being, like, and your only like role is to watch over and love, like that's a very like Christian ideal.
For being a show that is so much about technology and how like the connections through them can go wrong, Lane has a lot to do with belief and what makes a deity. Uh,
It might be the best backdoor Christian anime I've ever seen.
I like that description, but it's not even. There's nothing explicitly Christian about it in any way,
The only like Christian aspect is like the idea of a deity like watching over and loving people.
which is not unique to Christianity. Like it's just the fact that it's like monotheistic. Like I
Like
would like to think it's the
like
Christian God because that's what I'm most familiar with.
okay, like these are like ideas that are like mostly associated with like Jesus and the Christian God.
I think that and that is God. That's how I choose to interpret it. It's so weird. We barely even we got to get into like the characters and factions a bit more. I think because we
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
even we hardly mentioned the Men in Black or the family much, but we kind of went through most of everything with the family.
Now the family really aren't involved too much.
Yeah, they're just there to be around Lain for the most part and enable her journey. Like they're aware, the mom and dad at least are aware of more or less what's going to happen. So the Tachibana guys like told them more or less what was likely to occur. Because when Lain is doing all her computer fuckery, the dad does not freak out when he walks in that room. And there's a point where like the mom and dad are just sitting together and just going, "It's almost over, isn't it?" Yeah. Oh.
Like you get these like all this is happening like before it's revealed that like she's not actually their daughter. So it's like these really like, Dad, what's up? Aren't you gonna say anything about this? Mom, why are you like so standoffish? Oh, I get it now.
Yeah, it's there's so much like it's a show that is made to be rewatched a few times to catch everything. Like you get all the basics of it, but you need to like have some conversations or have a few watch throughs before you really like are putting all these pieces together. Like I said, I've watched through it a couple of times and I still felt the need to do some reading and stuff to be prepared for this conversation.
Okay, so the Men in Black, they, they start off
Yeah.
as like this like intimidating possibly antagonistic force. Like they got these like their Navi devices are their glasses.
Yeah, with
They
like laser dot aim on them. So like they're just watching, but they look like they're lining up a shot to take you out. It's very ominous the way they keep her under surveillance and almost never directly interact with her. Uh, at one point, they actually get out of their car to properly observe her from outside the window. She goes and looks at the window, and her psychic power level explodes the glasses like a scouter in Dragon Ball.
there's the bit where they reveal their hand a bit, and they bring
Hmm.
Lane in to meet with their boss. We briefly described the scene earlier.
Right. This is where she first starts questioning the nature of her own living situation. Because at first it starts off as a casual chat where the guy's just trying to build some rapport with Lain. And then he starts just asking about who she is. And, okay, but is that really your family, though? He's like, what do you mean?
Like, do you really know
When,
what your life
when
is?
is your dad's birthday? Or your mom's? Or your sister's?
When's your birthday?
Uh, does your family just not celebrate birthdays? Where's your family from? Where did either of your parents grow up? Where did they get married? When?
Why don't I know
And she
this?
can't answer any of it and starts freaking out.
I should know this. Why don't I know this?
Why don't I know this? And then we have to actually get more into Lain herself now because we have to explain the multi-personality shit.
Yeah. It's like all the fake lanes are essentially her shadow.
Yeah, we see essentially three different versions of Lain for the most part throughout the show. There is uh and the first two almost act like split personalities because they both exist in the physical body she has, interacting with the world that we follow throughout the show. We see her as like a naive and innocent young girl who's very cute and like just wants to fit in with her friends and learn more about computers and stuff. But then there's times when she is a very confident and assertive individual and gets a bit standoffish if you're challenging her.
Yeah,
Like,
it's like a switch flips and her personality is just completely different.
and she hardly seems aware that she, after the fact, like that she even acted differently at all. And people refer to that one as the Lane in the Wired because it's more to how people are used to perceiving her if they're aware of her presence in the Wired, because that's just how she would be. It seems like the young girl who's innocent and naive is more a persona that was adopted once she got the physical body, and was put in the situation to live like a normal human for a while. So you could argue that the confident, assertive Lane is more the true Lane, but that doesn't invalidate the innocent, naive persona at all. It really just establishes what came first. Then we see a third Lane. You hear about her actions before you actually see her, and they all share the same character design. But when you see the evil shitbag Lane, you know that you're looking at that Lane. The way her expressions are drawn, the way she acts, it is completely different from either of the other two. She is the most shit kid troll, like half-opened eyes laughing in your face at anything bad that ever happened to you type of shit. She
Lane,
sees the
Lane, I've isolated you from your friends.
Lane, I told everyone that your friend really wants to get it on with that teacher. And in the digital space they're interacting with, Lane starts to try and choke out this evil Lane, but can't pull it off because they're in a digital space and she just can't. She's not allowed to. And she's just like, why do I have to feel the fact that you exist? I hate you. Why are you acting like all the parts of myself that I hate? Hey, remember the shadow? You remember that concept we talked about? Like, if you've ever played Persona 4, it's very directly, hey, Jungian psychology is pretty neat, you guys. Every character has to fight their shadow self, and it's the parts of their personality they don't want to acknowledge exist, but have to integrate into their conscious being.
More games should have like psychology concepts as game mechanics.
It's so good. That Persona is very direct about it. And that's one thing I really appreciate about Persona. But yeah, no, psychology is a really cool set of themes and ideas to construct your fiction around. I really, really like it. Yeah, going back to the Tachibana guy and the Men in Black, we see her do one of these 180 personality switches from innocent, I don't know what's going on Lane, to assertive, get out of my face, I'm doing my thing here Lane. She tells the guy off, lets him know, yeah, I'm the Lane of the Wired. What of it? You're not going to do anything to me. You're not going to stop me from doing whatever the fuck I want.
And like they
Get out of my
can't.
way, I'm leaving.
They can't really.
They really can't. Like, no one in that room wants to murder a little girl, like, in any context. But at the same time, like, her power is getting to the point where she can, like, start messing with the real world. Like, I think the whole, like, glasses exploding thing had already happened by that point.
Yeah, it did. It did.
So, like, they know that at least this version of Lain can fuck them up.
They are forced to just be bystanders.
So Lain doesn't initially have the ability to manipulate, you know, memories to change history and reality. It's after she does that thing where she clips all the wires into herself, including her lips, um, and it then has to explain to Eri, I've used programming to turn my part of my brain into basically an internal Navi, and it just processed all the information of the wired
Oh yeah,
into my brain.
yeah. She just turned her brain into a computer.
Yeah, she just did that physically. It was nuts, and that level of direct integration into like the real world and the wired simultaneously is what gave her the power to just do that at will. God, this show's so weirdly complex. It's 13 episodes and there's so much going on. Yeah, so the men in black can't stop her. They know it, but they still have to keep her under surveillance, and they think that this Tachibana guy is trying to prevent the breakdown of like the barrier between wired and reality. When in actuality, they were stooges just helping keep an eye on her the whole time. They get killed in the end. And the most notable character moment I think they have is the last time they actually interact with Lain before they leave. The tall guy with the weirdly pretty blue eyes just stops and says, I love you to Lain before leaving. Doesn't say if it's a romantic thing or just like an older brother or caretaker kind of way. He just throws out, hey, I care about you like this.
It could
Bye.
be that like he loves her in a way like a religious fanatic loves a god.
It could be. Like, it, just like almost every other element in this show, is left at least a little vague for you. I really like the moment because he wasn't just a guy doing his job. He gave us just enough connection to our protagonist to make it feel kind of tragic when him and his partner bite the dust. Uh, we've talked about Alice, who is kind of just there to be Lane's one friend and her anchor point to humanity as she's like losing herself more and more to her online life.
She is Lane's rock.
Yeah. Like before the final confrontation with Aerie, Lane is on the verge of like giving in to what he wants before like Alice just shows up. Hey, I came here to confront you about this weird shit you've been doing where you fixed everything with everyone else but left the shitty memories in my head. Like, do you hate me or something? What's going on? But she sees the state Lane's been living in. Is like, okay, no. We need to talk. We need to be better. We need to feel better right now. All right, let's get you set.
To make another Christian connection. If Lane is
Yeah.
Jesus, then Alice is Peter.
I can see it.
The rock upon which Lane will build her church.
Yeah. I. But she doesn't want worshippers. She doesn't allow. Cause we do see a flash forward at the end when Lane is just omnipotently watching over people.
Yeah, like
She goes to see Alice in the future after she's like getting married and shit.
Yeah. We see grown up Alice, which is really nice.
Yeah, who like because her memories have been erased, she has like maybe a vague sense of deja vu at most about this small child she's interacting with. Because Lane looks exactly the same. She's just like, huh, I feel like I recognize you, but I can't place it. Oh no, we don't know each other. Oh, well, it was nice to meet you, little girl. Goodbye.
Like
So,
I don't know why, but I feel I trust that little girl.
I hope there's no serial experiments going on with her. the other two friends Lane has only exist really to be part of a social circle, so they're not really substantial. They're just there to be the social environment that Lane and Alice are in.
Yeah, yeah,
We got Toro, the boy who's like essentially the night stooge.
yeah, yeah. Taro. He has his own little friend group. Another guy and a girl. Both his age, like 8 or 10.
Yeah, and the girl's constantly jealous of Lane getting attention. And Taro, his function is to explain technology or to be the secret, like Link to the Night. But also he does have a romantic interest in Lane, but the assertive, confident Lane, not the innocent Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And he does get the smooch in the end, so props to him. Props to my guy.
It's a pretty minor thing, but it is like that is the connection between him and Lane.
Yeah. The DJ or whatever at the club, who is like
Like
only
he's
familiar with interactions with the fake Lane that the Knights created, if my
yeah,
theory is correct.
the confident Lane.
Yeah. So just every now and then, like, regular innocent Lane will come by and she's like, "What? Oh, okay, yeah, I'll take that thing."
Yeah,
And one
hey,
of those things is a death trap because, fake Knights Lane needs her to die for the plan to come through.
yeah, hey, Lane, you forgot this. Here, it came for you. It's a bomb or something. It's a bomb or a
Yeah.
drug. I forget exactly.
I think it was a computer component, but if she installed it, it would have fucked with shit.
Mm-hmm.
There was one point where apparently her a component to do with her cooling system had been sabotaged and caused that explosion, which the men
Yeah,
in black explain. Uh, the one that she gets to confront Taro about was supposed to be like a rewriting memories thing, which is another hint that the Knights have that capability.
yeah,
Uh, it's interesting that the first piece of technology that's just randomly given to her, one is at school, so we don't know who in particular gave that to her, because Taro doesn't know where she goes to school. He only physically meets her in the real world at the club. But also, it's not a trap at all, it seems. It's just a psyche chip.
yeah. Like
It's just there.
it's just to upgrade a computer basically. Like it could have been anyone.
Yeah, it could have been any of the knights.
It could
Because
have
they're
been
the only ones who would have an interest in her getting more into computers.
it could have been her dad. One of the Men in
Yeah,
Black.
but why at school? I don't know. It's
It could have
very
been
odd.
okay. I have a theory. It could have been her
Yeah.
dad, and the reason she went through via the letter in the shoebox at school is so that the Men in Black don't catch on to him like accelerating it.
Yeah, I mean he does very awkwardly deny knowing what it is. Uh,
I think my theory there holds credence.
it's certainly possible. I can't disprove it offhand. And there's also on top of all the characters, there's like little things that are kind of one-off events or instances. Uh, like there's the drug Excella, which isn't actually a drug; it's a tiny machine.
You
It is
swallow
introduced
it.
like in episode 1.
Yeah, you swallow it, and then it releases like it like heightens all your senses to like a crazy degree.
Yeah, so
That's the thing that like initially like triggers that guy to like shoot up the bar, the club.
well, he takes it initially in episode 1, and then in episode 2 he's back in the club and he starts shooting it up. And it's unclear how much like that was an influence or just what he's seen in The Wire, because he knows who Lane is, so he's in there and he knows some stuff that's going on. But
It,
he immediately dies, so we don't know what all he knows.
it kind of acts as a plausible deniability for the reader, for the viewer.
Right. Which the Excel drug is like maybe brought up one time after that point. Like after that guy's dead, it's almost a non-factor. It seems to just be there as like
Like
uh
for the
another
viewer.
point of interest, but also like a metaphor of like the technology addiction being literally like a drug.
I think its narrative purpose is to distract the viewer from catching on or too early.
Hmm. So just to be like, okay, this guy, yeah, he recognized Lane, but that could be anything. He was also like eating machines that oscillate at these rhythms to make your brain secrete the fast hormone.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Possible.
It,
I
it's
I
it's
think
it's
it
it's there to be a red herring for the viewer.
it could be. I think I think the it being there as a representation of tech addiction or whatever being literally like a drug addiction. I mean, it's a little on the nose, but it's one of the only like things that I can look at and say, if that's what it is, it's very clean cut and direct and like clearly read.
Mm-hmm.
Which almost makes me think that's not the case because this show doesn't like to be that direct, but I believe it could have been.
It could be both. What you're suggesting and what I'm
Yeah,
suggesting.
yeah, multiple functions. There's also Phantoma, the game that they bring up in like episode 4, I think.
Yeah, it's like this weird like dungeon crawler game that was okay. It's a weird thing that happens where like I don't exactly remember how it was explained, but like for some reason like
Oh, I got you.
players that were playing Phantoma were like fighting like you go through a dungeon, you defeat monsters. When they were defeating monsters, they were actually like killing kids who were playing this other hide and seek game. Somehow the two games like invaded each other.
Yeah, there was a crossover in these games. So
Like
you remember the kids
unintentional.
experiment.
Yeah, yeah.
So the kids experiment, the children's heightened psychic awareness and all that, and the Protocol 7 stuff, blurring the connection between the mind and the wired. That is supposed to be like big factors in this. It's people like the Knights and whatever finding the tech, whatever they found the schematics for the kids stuff, somewhere. It's really not explained how. Just they dug it up somewhere, and they made another functional thing, but they did it without a device. And I think that's part of how I refigured out how to do the weird Protocol 7 shit, connecting people's minds to the wired. But of course, that connection could be something my brain made up, and I misread that. But it's supposed to be more of the blurring between reality and the the wired, and these two games overlapping is I'm not sure if that how intentional that was, but people being able to die from their weird VR AR game thing is just like another example of the Knights seeing what all they can actually do to push forward. Kind of like with creating fake lanes. The other thing is, okay, let's take this kid's idea and see how we can implement it into what the Wired is right now. Games. We'll do it with these games.
Yeah.
It is the creepiest thing in the world though when you see like that guy getting chased and and you can't see what's chasing him until the very end when it's like, oh, that's a child. And then you see that child later. And that child is just a regular ass kid. So it's like that kid doesn't realize that it was playing tag, but from the other player's perspective, that was death. That it's super fucked.
Okay, so I think about Knights is like it is not clear like how much they're involved in the story until like halfway through.
Yeah, they just keep getting mentioned every now and then. And at one point, Lain appears to be talking to them directly as she's like giggling and just hanging out in a vague chat room in the Wired. And then they just stop talking to her. Which I assume is just part of the whole, like, we'll be your friend and then tell her to fuck off to make her feel more isolated and more likely to go along with Irie's plan to die.
Like the scene, like what we were just like explaining just now with the game and like the kid accidentally killing a guy through like the two games integrating into each other. Like we're not told like, oh, this is Knight's doing. We just have to like piece it all together. Like, oh, that was probably Knight's doing.
Yeah, I think Professor Hodgkinson might have mentioned it was the Knights, but I don't remember. And if so, it's a single line in the whole show.
Yeah.
Because, like, the Phantoma thing, gets dropped almost immediately after that. Like there's entire
Here,
things like this drug or this game that just get introduced and they just show you what can happen in this world and then it's gone.
like, here's a thing that happened. Maybe it's still happening. We're not going to focus on that.
There's so many things and ideas crammed into just like what amounts to 4 or 5 hours of content. It's nuts how much they put in it without having a rushed pacing at all. The show really does take its time when it needs to.
Oh yeah, it's paced really well. Like no episode feels wasted. No episode feels rushed. They were like fit recap. They were like fit like narrator explaining concepts, like detailing history.
Every time a cut is jarring, it's meant to feel that way and make you wonder, okay, what are you doing next then? Because they do that a lot. Here's another thing that is just like a sequential thing that hardly goes anywhere but will stick in your brain. It's in like episode 2, I think, where Lane's on the train and she's hearing the electric come and she's like, no one's talking. This is just she is hearing the wired or something. We can hear the electric come, so she's focused on something and she's like, God, this is noisy. What a racket. Can you quiet down? And people look at her for a sec like she's crazy because they don't hear anything, of course. And they go back to what they're doing. Suddenly the train stops. A girl has died. Suddenly, Lane's not there anymore. Lane is like on a street. Now Lane's beside the train. Now we're seeing a girl in front of the tracks with this weird dead expression, like screaming on her face, but not screaming in horror, screaming like a zombie who doesn't know where they are. And then the train goes past, and it's animated very intense because the train's like 2 feet from where Lane is standing in this scene. It's loud, it's intense, and you're just like, oh, somehow her brain saw the other perspective of that girl getting hit by the train. Holy shit. And then they use that same like expression in a later scene in like the next episode or something when Lane is just in the hallway at school and she sees a shape in the dark of an open door like near the stairs, and it's that dead girl's face, and just the shape goes toward her, and suddenly she's just surrounded by ominous shapes of people. Not people, just these weird shapes. This doesn't go anywhere as a plot point. It's just there, and it sticks in my brain, dude.
So Lain is pretty good.
Lain is really, really good. It's like I just watched it in the last like 6 months, and it would probably make my top 10 anime of all time if I were to make a list.
This will influence me for years to come.
I'm glad I got 2 in a row of my recommendation having that effect on you. I'm proud of that. I'm good at this recommending thing. I'm not good at structuring a discussion about Lain at all. But I'm good at that.
I don't think many people are.
Well, video essayists are.
I don't think so.
We are not.
Depends on the video essayist.
Depends on the videos. Okay. Now, Pig. Even if we're not great expressing it, this was, I feel, a good recommend. I hope you have an equally good recommend for me.
Well, Para, I'm going to recommend you something that
Yeah?
I haven't thought about in a while.
You haven't thought about it.
It's something that I discovered when I was a young adult, like really getting into movies.
Ah, we're back to movies.
And you might be familiar. You might be familiar with the name Trauma.